Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, GR Dad?
I'm fine for now.
We've had a little bit more to drink than normal.
Some of it might hit my bloodstream during the podcast.
That
Updates to follow.
typically means it's going to be an entertaining podcast.
For me, even if not for anyone else. Whee!
The cocktail of the week this week is the Holy Water.
Great name.
I don't always make the cocktail of the week for the week of the podcast.
Of the cocktail.
Yes, so I don't always make the cocktail of the week when we record the podcast, because sometimes I'm just like, this has a good name and it's going to be the cocktail of the week.
And sometimes, damn, Ingo can't handle it.
Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to have a cocktail of the week.
I don't want Ingo to have a cocktail of the week.
But
Still real hot.
yeah, this week, no, you're fine.
Hot.
I mean, you are hot, but your microphone is fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this week I actually made the cocktail of the week. So this is an interesting story. So this is, a cocktail that got served up to me by Pinterest, which is where a lot of them come from.
Remember, it's called the Holy Water.
It's called the Holy Water. It is a flagship cocktail of the Ace Hotel in New Orleans, and it's served in like a prayer candle glass. So
Long,
the
slender.
big tall prayer candles. If you're Catholic, you know what these are. So it's one of those, but no candle in it. Obviously, they just put the drink in there, and they've got a picture of it from the Ace Hotel in New Orleans, and it says like Holy Water, and it's got like a little angel. It's very cool.
It looks really good.
And the interesting thing about this is that liquor.com wrote it up, and in the comments, so it's from the Ace Hotel in New Orleans, and in the comments, Matt Ray, who I believe is the head bartender at the Ace Hotel in New Orleans, says, "Hey, as much as I love this cocktail, I'm afraid I was not the creator of this drink. That honor goes to Lauren Schell, Schell, while she was consulting from Grand Banks, New York City. My meager contributions were making the spice rum and having the good sense to work with a local candle company who provided the glass." So Liquor.com originally wrote this up and said Matt Ray invented this drink.
He's the bartender at that bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Lauren Schell is the one who gets the credit. And so now the write-up says that Lauren Schell
That's great.
created this.
Good for him.
For sure. So that's awesome. So Flambeaux is the place that makes the glass. Flambeaux. Flambeaux in New Orleans. So they make the glass. We are just drinking it out of a regular ass glass. So this drink is delish.
It's really good.
So it's
Also fun because, well, you'll get into it.
yeah. So the base cocktail is Jamaican gold rum or 5-year-old rum, so just some kind of aged rum. You can also infuse your rum and make it like a spice rum, like a Captain Morgan. So 1 ounce of rum, 1 ounce of cognac, orgeat syrup, which is just simple syrup with almonds in it, so it's like an almond syrup, lemon juice, lime juice, grapefruit juice, and then so you shake that up. That becomes your cocktail, and then you do 3 dashes of Angostura bitters as a floater on the top.
Which is a lot of bitters.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It's good, though. You can taste the bitters in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the garnish, which is really important, you take half a lime, you put a sugar cube on it. I actually just use some granulated sugar because my sugar cubes aren't here. And half an ounce of green chartreuse, which is this very herbal liqueur made by monks. We've talked about it before.
Secret.
But it's 110 proof, which means you can light it on fire.
It burns.
So you take your lime, you put your sugar cube on top of it, and then you pour in half an ounce of green chartreuse and you light it on fire. So you have a flaming cocktail, flaming lime on the top of it.
So good.
And then, so we did that. I lit it on fire tonight, and then you kind of dunk the lime into the drink. So you
Next
get some
time
green
we
chartreuse.
turn the lights off,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be more cool.
I will post it on Salt and Glitter, my Instagram account. Salt Glitter is the handle.
And you'll do a professional job as opposed to my amateur, like, look, I'm taking a drink, picture of this drink.
This drink is so good.
Surprisingly light and fruity.
Yeah, really tasty. So, highly recommend if you go to New Orleans, go to the Ace Hotel. I feel like we went there and had drinks one time.
Maybe. We probably did.
Hopper, why are you crying, pal?
It's fine, Hops. She's hungry.
Oh my God.
Want me to give her food?
Sure.
Because she's a pain in the ass right now.
Hopper has been fed.
Again.
Good job.
Again.
All right, Ingo, it's time for Administrative Corner.
Oh, I love Administrative Corner.
I have 2 items on the agenda.
How do more people not know about Administrative Corner? I've heard seen a couple of comments from people who were like, at work, I launched into Administrative Corner and no one got it. What do you mean no one got it? They should love it.
We're making Administrative Corner happen.
I think it's a thing. Fetch.
So I got an email today saying, hey, you have until the end of this week to nominate yourself for a Webby Award. Do you think we should nominate ourselves for a Webby Award?
Does this have something to do with frogs?
No.
Spiders?
No.
Oh. What is it?
It's like Best of the Web Awards.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I don't know.
Are we that good? I don't know.
I don't think we're that.
We're not there yet.
I don't think we've prostituted ourselves enough to do that. Sorry, Webbies.
Okay.
We have a carefully curated community of people who love our dogs.
Yep. All right. The second item on Administrative Corner is that we got the Brotschneider-Maschine. We talked about this last time that we were going to get one. It is here. You have used it. You have schneided Brot with it.
Let me say it angry.
Go say it.
Brotschneider-Maschine.
That's really good.
You've been making bread.
I just started a new batch
It
tonight.
comes in this non-standard format. It's not Wonder Bread.
No, it's kind of a
So it's kind of
lump.
You know, if you cut it with a knife, you can get crooked and nooks and crannies.
Es ist nicht perfekt.
Es ist nicht perfekt. Es ist nicht gleichmäßig oder regelmäßig. Es ist nicht regelmäßig genug für Brot.
Regelmäßig.
Das ist schlechtes Brot. That is bad. That is the bad bread.
Französischer Brot.
Ah, ist aber kein Croissant. Verdammt.
Okay, we got to do this podcast auf English.
The Brotschneidermaschine is, I think, epic, especially for the homemade bread, which looks more like a European loaf, like it's weirdly shaped and long.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, I have been eating Nutella with the bread that I'm making at home.
That's awesome. You know what I put on it?
Yeah, Vegemite.
Yeah, we have both brown spreads.
You just made me a Vegemite sandwich.
I know, he's speaking my language.
I am not a fan of Vegemite, but I'm glad that
You're
you
a
are.
fan of Men at Work.
I am. We watched this Netflix documentary, Untold, which is about the 1983 America's Cup, where Australia challenges America for the yachting cup, the America's Cup, which America had won every year since like 1860 or something.
Since ever.
Spoiler alert, Australia wins, which like you kind of know from the beginning.
You can look it up.
But it's a great sport. I mean, I love like all the 30 for 30s, the sports documentaries, and this is really good. And even though you know Australia's going to win at the end, it's still like really intense watching it.
I mean, it helps if
It's
you have
great.
a deep love of everything Australian.
Which,
but also the little guy and the big guys and the underdog, and it's such a classic sports tale.
it's really good.
Very good, and it has a happy ending for
Australia wins.
a little while. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also has the theme song of that boat was Men at Work Down Under.
They're like down like 3-1 or something. And they're like, then the prime minister sends them a message and they're like, we hoisted the boxing kangaroo flag and just picked a theme song of Men at Work and
Down Under,
Down Under, and they're
this was the Bob Hawke,
like,
the most Australian prime minister ever. I mean, this is like the Ocker, the guy who just like drinks a beer with the folks and has the open shirt. I mean, he was legendary. I'm sure
highly recommend.
Sure, he wasn't perfect. I was too young to appreciate the complications of his regime, but he definitely had a good reputation.
So yeah, let's see. I'm trying to pull up the name of it. Untold: The Race of the Century on Netflix. is Untold is like their series of all their sports documentaries, and every one of them is really good.
Yeah.
But this one, the race of the century, is about the America's Cup in Australia, winning it from the U.S. for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, ESPN is not as unique as it used to be.
This is Netflix.
What?
Netflix had the Untold is a Netflix sports documentary. It's not 30 for 30. It's Netflix.
Come on.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yes.
My world, it rocked. I can't even. This should be a 30 for 30 because
I know it's very much in that
Let
spirit.
me drop a thing for the 30 for 30 on ESPN. Every one of those is worth watching.
Oh my God. Every single one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a sport you've never even heard of.
Yeah.
It's good.
They could make one about competitive frog jumping and you'd be like, wow, this is a real human interest. This really interests me and I care about Lumpy. Yeah. You know, he's really battling to be better than you know, Toady or whatever. Yeah. So every one of those is just great, and it's great sports journalism. But this one, that's why I was lumping this in there because it's it's really well made, and it's just sports are great when they're great, and this is well told.
Yeah, all the Untolds, I mean, they're very much in the vein of the 30 for 30s. They have one about an basketball. What's the basketball
referee?
League? Yeah. NBA. Yeah. Referee who's kind of like betting on games and like maybe influencing the outcome of games.
He was kind of adjudicated to have done that. But yes.
Which actually is like when we found this one about Australia too, the boat that won in the America's Cup. I had watched the NBA official one first, and it's like, hey, you want to watch this other one? I was like, sure, like let it play.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like I was home alone, and I was like, I have to let Ingo watch this. Like he will love it so much.
I mean, it's just they're great characters. They find the great spokespeople to talk about the things, and I mean, it's a great, well-made documentary.
So the one about the NBA referee is called Operation Flagrant Foul. They have a 2-part series, The Girlfriend Who Didn't Exist, about Manti Te'o, who was the Notre Dame player who kind of got catfished.
Totally got catfished.
And just honestly, like really terrible media investigation that kind of uncovered the catfish. They also have Malice at the Palace, which is the first one that we watched, which is about
Pistons.
Yeah, that's right. Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons, and like a big fight that happened between them. That was really good. There's other ones that we haven't watched. There's one about Caitlyn Jenner, who I'm not a fan of. She's kind of an asshole to every other trans person. There's a boxing one that I haven't watched, but anyway, it's a great series. And Race of the Century is about Australia.
No, and so let me get you back. Zoop Men at Work, Zoop Vegemite, Zoop your own bread with Nutella on it.
Ugh, delish. So a few people asked after the last one for the bread recipe that my therapist told me to make. And it's the New York Times no knead bread recipe, not the updated no knead bread recipe, but the original no knead bread recipe, which is updated from the original, but it's not labeled as updated. They are different things. So
I just know it ends up in a pot.
Yeah, you put it in a pan.
Pot.
So yes, you put it in a Dutch oven. Our Dutch oven is a little too big for the bread, but Le Creuset makes specifically a bread thing with like a dome.
It's like a bread hanger.
It's like $300.
It looks like a hanger.
I want it so bad.
It's got that like rounded ceiling hanger thing.
It's exactly the right size for this loaf. You can get me that for like my birthday next year.
Anyway, this is therapist recommended, but therapeutic results not guaranteed.
But will be delicious with Nutella or butter.
True, it'll make you feel better for as long as you're eating the bread and maybe beyond.
You'll make a great sandwich.
You'll feel better as a human being having made bread because that's an accomplishment that is fun.
Yep. If you make it, please send me pictures. It can be in process. It can be of the final product. I want to see.
The lumpier, the funnier. But also, if it's delicious, also, of
Mine's
course.
not always perfectly symmetric, and yet we still eat the whole thing. You ready for dog updates?
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of lumpier the better. Hi, Brody.
Brody's like standing here looking at us. He has already had second dinner.
Yeah, I know.
Brody,
You don't remember. You don't count. You can't count. You're a dog.
Brody is healing up really well. So he was having a hard time last week when we did the updates. His internal gastrointestinal issues are resolved. He's doing fine in that department. He's happy. He's playing with his pizza slice. He's rolling around on his back.
Jumping on sticks outside. He would like to go swimming.
Absolutely. His incision is healing really well. We kind of wait until there's no scabbiness or openness. Like we want it to just be skin because we don't want any germs to get in there.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet, but it's getting close. He's doing a good job.
He is much more himself than he was a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Elevator update, just for everyone who's been asking. You haven't missed anything. Nothing has happened. There is no elevator.
Yeah, some people had asked, we had tweeted about like, oh, we're going to get a scissor lift or whatever. And I did talk to Sunbelt Rentals, who are the place that rent it. They called me like immediately, first thing in the morning after I filled out the form. And the scissor lift that we were going to rent has to be on like flat ground, like not gravel, something
Ideally,
flat.
a cement slab.
And they're like, well, you could get a bunch of plywood and kind of drive it over the plywood and move all the sheets. I'm like, we're not doing that. It's going to be outside. And they're like, yeah, it's just not for that. It's really for inside.
The last thing we want to do is tip over.
Yeah. Or break it. That would suck.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they were great. They were really helpful. They were kind of brainstorming ideas, but ultimately, like for what we need, there's nothing that's just like, oh yeah, you climb in at ground level and it goes up and you're done. So,
and Jen Coleslaw had suggested a slide, but that only addresses the downward.
I was going to say it misses the hard part.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Fortunately, CB and I have kind of come up with a system where he does the stairs and I have my hands on like the back of his back legs and kind of push. So I give him like a boost on the back part and we can go up the stairs that way.
I feel like you've done this with other dogs. Manchego, maybe?
Pie.
It was definitely
My
Pie,
original dog, Pie.
To
when
go
she
to the
was old.
bedroom.
Yeah, I would boost her up the stairs every night. I do exactly the same procedure with Brody and that works. So he doesn't have to use his back legs too much. He feels like he's using them, but I'm taking a lot of the weight off.
That's right. He's only pushing like 20% of his weight instead of 80
Yep.
or 100.
And it's not too hard for me. And it doesn't, my poor
That's
shoulder
right.
is almost up. It doesn't hurt that. So, and Hops can go up and down the stairs by herself, and you've been carrying her. I mean, I could carry her if she needed, because she's 10 pounds lighter than Brody.
The Ingovator is in full effect.
Ingovator is absolutely doing hard work.
The Ingovator is reaching out and like carrying dogs that don't need it. Like I've ventilated Venk a few times just to stay in practice.
Are you getting a lot of gains?
I am. I think I'm getting huge. I'm getting huge. You should see my gains. I'm taking 2 dogs at a time. I don't care. I got Hops and Brody.
So we are recording today, February 7th. February 16th is when they're coming, so we still got a week and a half till the...
Coming for the initial to
I
look
hope
at.
they fix it when they get here.
I hope so too. It's broke though. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't move at all. You just push the button and it goes click.
That's exactly right.
Click. Because I've tried it.
Yeah.
Click.
No, doesn't work.
Sad.
So Birdie doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good. He still has to wear the sleeve because it's not entirely healed up yet. But as soon as
he licks,
he does lick it. So we've got the waterproof sleeve on now, the Gen modified waterproof sleeve. But once it's all healed, that'll come off. So pretty soon. Okay. So someone has to say who has the longest nose in the squad. Which is a silly question.
GR Snoops. I think it's a new account.
Yes, it's not that new. It's been around. It could be GR Snoops. So anyway, we got the tape measure out and we measured. And the answer is guac. Guac's schnoop is 4.5 inches long, measured from the base of the eyes to the tip of the schnoop. Remy is a close second at 4.25 inches.
Yep.
Brody is 4 inches. Hopper 3.5 and Vink 3.25.
Venk's basically Pekingese.
Short little snoop.
She's not Pekingese. She's basically a Frenchie.
Oh, pug maybe.
Pug. Anyway, but it's also proportionality, right? Guac doesn't look that long because he's proportional, but he's just a big dude.
He does have a long-looking face.
Yeah,
though.
and Brody's looks shorter because he's got that wide head, but it's
Well,
actually
it is
fine.
shorter. It's shorter.
Slightly, but it's not shorter than like Hopper's.
No,
No,
Hopper's is shorter.
Hopper's got a smaller head.
Yep. So there's random facts.
But they were also asking about it of all time. We didn't have the chance to measure St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick did have a long schnoop.
He did.
I feel like Guac's was maybe longer.
Don't know. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
St. Patrick was all long, all length.
He was lanky. Yeah.
Just a long dude. He just kept, walking in. Walking in the door, he'd be walking in. He's still walking in. Still some of him walking in.
The other dog update is that, so I have a messed up shoulder. I've kind of alluded to this. And so when I have to sit for a while or when I'm sleeping, it helps to have something to kind of wrap my arm around to support my shoulder. And I have found that an ideal thing when I'm sitting in like my office chair is to have a Blåhaj.
A baby Blåhaj you started out.
Either Blåhaj is fine, but I happen to have a baby Blåhaj in my office, and so that's what I was using. And then Guac is like, smells like Blåhaj. And he comes in my office and then he just stares at the Blåhaj. And I'm like, no, it's mine. It's for my hurt shoulder. And he's like, no. And then he takes it.
He's like, I don't understand English. Give me that Blåhaj.
Yep. So he took my baby Blåhaj. He ripped it up. And then I went into the RV. I was like, I'm pretty sure there's Blåhajs in the RV. And I got a full-size Blåhaj who, right at this moment, as we're recording the podcast, has the Blåhaj.
He went into your office while you weren't there and retrieved the Blåhaj.
He's so happy.
We came home from dinner and he was with the Blåhaj in bliss.
Yep.
Yes.
I may have ordered 7 additional full-size Blåhajs from IKEA that will be delivered on Thursday.
Oh, I have to go to IKEA and, look embarrassed when I have like 7 Blåhaj in the blue bag.
You can buy them online.
At the counter, at the register. They're like, that's a lot of sharks, sir. They're from my dogs. And they're like, that doesn't help. That doesn't make it better.
They're just FedExing him to us.
Allegedly.
More Blåhajs on the way. Hopefully I'll get to keep one of them. But he's...
One dog per Blåhaj is fine. When they start tearing at it, it blows up.
Look how happy he is right now.
He is the happiest I've seen him in a long time. I mean, the avocads, I think, are stopgaps. I think he really likes the Blåhaj.
Look at how happy he does, like the occasional little like chomp, chomp, chomp. But he's all day he's had the Blåhaj in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. He's dragged it around.
He's so happy.
Tried to figure out how to jump on the bed with it.
Yep. I can't deny him that.
He's a happy
$23, you can have that Blåhaj.
A lot cheaper than therapy, Guac.
No kidding. All right. Do you have any other dog updates before we move on to the extensive list of ramblings?
No. Everyone else is doing what they're always doing.
Okay. A thing that a few people tagged us in and that we both found independently was this 1992 letter from George Bush Sr. to the White House staff about his dog.
So good.
All right. So I'm going to read you the letter. It has the White House, Washington is the header, February 6th, 1992. And then it says, memo, important announcement. This is an all points bulletin from the president. And then it says, subject, my dog, Ranger. And the message is, recently, Ranger was put on a weight reduction program. Either that program succeeds or we enter Ranger in the Houston Fat Stock Show as a prime Hereford. It's a little mean.
He has a sense of humor, though. That's the funny thing.
All offices should take a formal pledge, quote unquote pledge, that reads as follows. We agree not to feed Ranger. We will not give him biscuits. We will not give him food of any kind. In addition, Ranger's access is hereby restricted. He has been told not to wander the corridors without an escort.
Without an escort.
This applies to the east and west wings, to the residents from the 3rd floor to the very, very bottom basement.
That dog must have just been roaming around asking for snacks from everyone.
Although Ranger will still be permitted to roam at Camp David, the Camp David staff, including the Marines, naval personnel, all civilians, and kids, are specifically instructed to rat on anyone seen feeding Ranger. Ranger has been asked to wear a Do Not Feed Me badge in addition to his ID. I will, of course, report on Ranger's fight against obesity. Right now, he looks like a blimp. A nice, friendly, appealing blimp, but a blimp. We need your help. All hands, please help. From the President, George Bush.
George Herbert Walker Bush.
It just says George Bush.
Well, he was the only one at the time.
Yep. So...
That's great. It's like, imagine having... I mean, I'm a problem. But imagine having...
The president would have you, like,
500 of me running around going, I can feed this dog. It's fine. Just a little snack. That's the problem. You can control me. You can't control 500 of me.
But he's such a good boy.
He's such a blimp. He's a happy blimp.
Okay, so that's item number 1 on Ramblings.
Yeah, good job.
Item number 2. Last week on the podcast, we talked about the fancy butter that we bought from Animal Farm.
Yes.
And
which is now gone. Yum.
The butter is gone. The farm is still there, but the butter we have consumed.
I ate it.
It was delish.
Mm-hmm.
So a few people responded and they're like, what do you think about a butterboard? And Ingo's like, what the hell is a butterboard? And so I pulled up Pinterest and I showed him, and Ingo was disturbed.
I had a violent reaction.
Violent negative reaction. I guess there's not a violent
Explain
positive.
what it is first, because it was new to me, and some people may not have heard about a butterboard.
So a butterboard is you take like a cutting board and you smear a bunch of butter on it. Thickly smear a bunch of butter on it, and then you top it with like herbs or maybe edible flowers or olives. You could do salt if you wanted a breakfast one. You could do honey and cinnamon. And then the idea is you got this big, thick, smeared butter with some accoutrement. And then you will take things typically like bread slices, waffle pieces if it's breakfast, and you dip them, you use them to scoop up the butter, kind of like a dip, like if you have a French onion dip, except it's butter, and then you eat it. Ingo's already making a disgusted face.
I'm a very open-minded guy when it comes to food.
Yeah, you ate those grasshopper tacos.
I don't impose any cultural standards. I've lived in many different places. I accept different flavors.
For sure.
But this appalls me. And you know why?
No, I don't.
Because people have invented the sandwich, but with wood instead of bread. You're putting butter on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
And then you're putting the bread on top, to dip the butter. Why don't you just put the freaking butter on the bread and make it a freaking piece of bread?
It's a great point. You could get a big flat piece of bread.
Look, I've invented bruschetta.
Smear the butter on it with all of the accoutrement. Cut it up.
The whole invention was we put the good stuff on the bread and then we eat it with the bread, and it's called a sandwich or an open-faced sandwich.
Piece of bread.
Yeah. No. We're going to undo a millennia of advances. We're going to put butter on wood, and we're going to make you scrape it off, not with a knife, which we also invented in those 2,000 years. We're going to scrape it off with a piece of bread when you could just put it on the piece of bread. Put it on the piece of bread.
I fully agree.
What is up with this? People, what do you have, too much wood? Not enough bread?
Ingo, anti-butterboard.
Come on. Butter is not dip. Also, I will. I'm not wavering from that. Butter is not dip. Butter is spread.
I agree.
Ugh. Butterboard. Yeah, you got me now. You got me going now. It's just so unnecessary. Come on. It's like guys reinventing the train or the bus or something. Come on.
The bus?
Where like people are like, we could just make an Uber that takes like 20 scheduled stops and picks up people at all the 20 scheduled. You've just invented the bus, sir.
I mean, fair enough.
Vink. I'm gonna have to throw her outside. Hang on.
All right. Okay, Vink has done her business. Before we move on from the butterboard to the next item,
I don't want to leave. I mean, I want to leave the butterboard as quickly as possible. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
You wanted to do a garden update, which is normally a feature of the No Rules podcast that we do for subscribers only, but we could do this as a little sneak preview.
I think those are two different things.
Which thing?
The No Rules and the subscribers only.
Subscribers only podcasts are always No Rules podcasts.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got no rules.
You do garden update for them, but we could do it for the general people now so they know what they're missing.
Here's a garden update.
Yeah.
We're probably getting guavas.
Guava tree is making crazy Dr. Seuss style blossoms.
I didn't even know what that was before.
What a guava was?
Like as a concept, how it looked or what it looked like in nature. I've seen guava juice. I'm not sure I've had it. It's like a little bit fine. It's fine. But I've never seen a guava tree before.
We're growing them.
We have one.
Yeah, we do. Our avocado tree, which also looked like it was almost dead, is about to like burst out with blossoms and leaves.
It's got literally 7 leaves left that are like half brown, but it's got 1 million blossoms and buds.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Like it's going to explode with new growth, and these 7 leaves have kept it afloat for the last year.
The bigger of our key lime trees is making like 500 key limes.
The actual industrious one. The other one's lazy.
The good key lime tree blossomed at the beginning of September, about a week before Hurricane Ian came through, and Hurricane Ian blew all the flowers off the tree, and we had a really good crop of key limes from that tree this last year, and I was like, oh no, like the hurricane blew all the blossoms off, so we're not, we have like, a dozen, 2 dozen limes on there, but nothing like last year where we had a ton. And then it blossomed again in like the last month or so with the gusto.
This little guy is just, chunking along, making more limes.
Oh, we're going to have zillions of limes. It's going to be great.
Can't stop himself or herself.
Our mango tree maybe is going to blossom. It's definitely making new leaves.
Yeah, I think that's just making new leaves. But the avocado, and then our banana tree, which was dead.
We thought it was dead after the hurricane.
After the hurricane, is making green leaves.
Yep.
It's going slow, but it's going.
Probably no bananas this year, but it's not dead, which we thought it was.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. The other item under ramblings. So there is an Golden Ratio fan account called Cheesy Comics. Which is written by a friend of the squad, Ben, who's 8 or 9.
He's awesome.
And he makes these comics of the dogs. And there's this particular one. It's 3 panels. So the first panel is just the front door. And it's got like 2 little notes over it, like ding dong. And the second panel is like a stick figure who has a baseball cap on that says TB, which I believe stands for Taco Bell.
It becomes clear later. And
it says, got your order, $400, please. And then in between the second and the third panel, it says, what? Which I like to think is in my voice. What?
That was in my voice.
And then the third panel has the Taco Bell guy. And he's holding a little bag with a picture of a bell on it.
A bell, I know.
And then a stick figure human and a stick figure dog. And the stick figure dog says guac. And then it says from like a little bloop, 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 like bubble thought from Guac's head. It says, I need tacos. Just pay, Ingo. So just pay Ingo has become a bit of a refrain in our house.
Whenever a dog gets needy or insistent, it's just like, just pay Ingo.
Just pay Ingo. We're so pleased. Ben does these comics most days, probably every other day during the week.
I think he had some stored up and built up.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's like 8 or 9. We sent Ben a pack of like Golden Ratio swag, and his dad, who like manages the account, is like, we gave it to Ben, and Ben's like, they know me?
Oh yes, yeah. Ben, we do. We know your work.
So just pay Ingo is kind of a refrain. And
just pay Ingo.
Just pay Ingo. Just guac. $400, just pay Ingo. I need tacos. So we were reminded of just pay Ingo with this AP News story from last week. With the headline is Michigan man says son 6 ordered $1,000 in food from Grubhub. So in Michigan, this guy basically like gave his 6-year-old his phone to play with before bed to play a game. And the 6-year-old managed to quit the game, head over to Grubhub, and order everything. Not like accidentally. He just ordered a ton of shit.
Like, I want this.
And the dad's like, all of a sudden, like, all these people are showing up at our house at like 10 p.m. ringing the doorbell. There's
Delivering
like
stuff.
a line of cars outside of these delivery people. So it says, Mason, the 6-year-old, ordered jumbo shrimp, salads, shawarma, chicken pita sandwiches, chili cheese fries, and other foods. At one point, like, the dad finally figures out what's going on, and he goes in, and, you know, he doesn't want to, like, the kid's 6, right?
Right.
And he's like, did you order all this food? The kid goes, did the pepperoni pizza show up yet, Dad? So just like all $1,000 worth of food.
Which is not easy to do. $1,000 is a lot of orders.
It says Chase Bank sent a fraud alert declining a $439 from Happy's Pizza. But
that was the pepperoni pizza, that poor kid.
But the $183 from the same place, that order of jumbo shrimp went through.
She wanted the pizza, though.
So since I don't think it's in this article that I have linked here, but since then Grubhub has given the family $1,000 gift card, and they're like trying to get them to do like a commercial, like an ad spot for
with
them.
the kid ordering everything. I'm not sure that's a good thing.
I think it's really funny.
Oh
so
God.
we were I was reading the story, and he's like, "Just pay,
just pay, Dad.
Just pay, Dad." So it was really funny.
They wouldn't be lining up if you were just paying them faster.
Just pay, Dad.
Jeez.
Before I move on to Taste of the Keys, do you have anything for ramblings?
No, I did the garden thing.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want from me? Jeez.
That's it.
Brotschneidermaschine. Come on, these are all good, important things.
High quality content.
And my disdain for this freaking wood sandwich that you call a butterboard.
Oh,
Wood bread.
Okay. So for Taste of the Keys this week. So as we often mention, we subscribe to the daily email digest from Conch Life.
The blast. I think
Yep.
it's called the email blast.
So Conch Life is basically just like the police blotter.
Yeah. And a couple of old guys writing
There's a few
opinion
blogs.
op-eds, which are always just like, I went to Louis Pizza yesterday. That was good in the 60s, and it's still real good. I went with Lauren, and we had a great talk, and that's great.
Yep, that's exactly what Conch Life is.
I'm not exaggerating.
No, you're not. At the bottom of every Conch Life is a historical picture of the day. So it's like, here's when Harry Truman visited Key West, or here's the USS Maine docking in Key West.
Those are sometimes really good, right? Like here are the air defenses during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the Taste of the Keys this week, and it says Mardi Gras nightclub at 92 Duval Street in the 1950s, February 3rd, 1953. And then the caption is 1953. The Key West City Commission passed an ordinance outlawing soliciting the sale of alcoholic beverages in the city bars and nightclubs. Scores of local B-girls were thrown out of work by the new law.
B-girls. The term is B-girls.
We're going to talk about what those are in a minute. But the picture, the black and white picture attached to that is of like a U-shaped bar. And then in the middle of the U, there's an island, right? So like the patrons are sitting around the outside of the U. The bartenders are serving them in the U. But the bartenders can go to an island inside the U where there's presumably alcohol and all sorts of other stuff stored. On top of that island in the middle of the U stand a bunch of women.
Yep.
What are they wearing, Ingo?
Not enough.
They're basically naked ladies. A couple of them have bikinis on. They all have bottoms on. Some are wearing pasties. Some are full-on boob showing.
Which is, Key Westian.
But it's like in this news, like email newsletter blast, which presumably is family friendly.
These guys don't edit themselves.
Look at this. I can see this girl's nipples, man. Like she's naked.
Well, you're embiggening the photo, which a lot of people can't do.
I don't have to embiggen it. Look at them. They're right there. Full on topless,
Yep.
the little bikini bottom.
I did notice that too.
So I was like, Ingo, did you see that there's topless ladies in the picture?
I was like, it's real small in my email, so I didn't actually.
You just You just
I did not. I did not.
Embiggen it.
Our generation doesn't know how to do that.
So anyway, Ingo's like, what's a B-girl? And I'm like, good question. And so I went and Googled this, and the answer is B-girls. This is a quote. B-girls were women who used their sex appeal and feminine guile to trick otherwise upstanding men into buying overpriced drinks at local bars. The patriarchy is infused so deeply into that description.
And that law. Like, the problem isn't the guys drinking. It's the women who are seducing them into drinking.
Yeah. So there's a really interesting essay. This is from a website, Shaping San Francisco's Digital Archive at Found SF. So found.sf is the website, foundsf.org. And this essay is B-Girls in the Tenderloin, but it's absolutely talking about the same thing as this Key West picture. And so it opens amidst national fear and hysteria around communism and homosexuality.
This was in the 50s.
In the early 1950s, San Francisco moral campaigners returned to their favorite target, women, which goddamn feels exactly like
it's
now.
80 years later and nothing has changed.
In early 1953, so this article in Conch Life or whatever, this city ordinance that they talked about was also 1953. So in early 1953, building on negative publicity dating back to 1937's Atherton report, a press campaign against so-called B-girls hit the front pages. The B-girls were women who use their sex appeal to trick men into buying these overpriced drinks. So this was like a 1953 phenomenon, right? It was the zeitgeist of 1953. These sort of like half-naked ladies are tricking men into buying overpriced drinks, and that is a moral hazard in the United States.
I lost my mind when I saw her boobs.
The campaign to expose and eradicate the B-girl menace corresponded to a behind-the-scenes effort to strip the State Board of Equalization of its power to regulate the sale of liquor. Like literally this week, DeSantis, did you see this? Stripped the liquor license.
No.
From this theater in Orlando that had a drag show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like exactly the same bullshit.
Same playbook. Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of bullshit. So anyway, naked ladies. You can see their nipples in Conch Life. But also, the patriarchy still fucking with people like they were 80 years ago.
Yeah, no
70
kidding.
years ago.
Same playbook. Same attempt.
Fuck those assholes.
Come on.
All right. You have a German word of the week?
It's a phrase.
That's fine.
I don't want to start this, but there are a few phrases that I might use in the future. But nicht geschimpft ist genug gelobt.
Not something is enough something.
Yeah, not yelled at you is enough praise. Like, are you expecting me to praise the fact that you took out the trash? Well, the fact that I'm not yelling at you is enough praise.
Oh my God.
Nicht geschimpft ist genug gelobt. Now, I didn't hear this growing up, but I could see it being a thing in Germany.
Not yelling at you is enough praise.
Yeah.
Man, that is sure parenting style.
There's German for you. Nicht geschimpft ist genug gelobt.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very, very dour approach.
Good one.
Yeah.
All right. You have any additional items for Ingo Corner?
No. Thanks everyone for listening and for the very kind notes and telling us that we are still fulfilling our mission, which is to provide a sort of a haven from all the craziness and like that it's still positive.
Classic Ingo Corner comment.
It can. I know. I always think it can go without saying, but it shouldn't go without saying, so it doesn't need to go without saying.
That's good.
I'll repeat it.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and until next time, Slava Ukraini, and don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Yeah. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.